everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's on the Super. Welcome back if this is your 10th DC Stargirl episode review. We're hitting the double digits. We're here. Yeah, it's been a long week for me because life, as you know, it has been very out of the place. Also, if you're starting to notice a little bit, I'm not sure if this is being caught on camera very well, the light source from the back of me. I normally don't do episode reviews this early in the day, but because I want to play more Ghost of Tsushima, and I was very anxious to see this week's episode, I decided to say screw it. Actually, you know what, I'm going to close the blinds, so give me a second. It actually is annoying my backside. Which is weird, it was supposed to... I think that's better. Yeah, much better. Anyway, so, this week, had a lot of work to do at my job, and I could not be happy. Today's actually my first day off in, like, Jesus Christ, 9 freaking days. That's how much I've been working, which I shouldn't be complaining since like a lot of people still don't have jobs or appointments, or they have to be limited by certain things. Also, I don't know why my cheeks are starting to become fuller again, so I gotta get that checked out. Plus, if I'm itching a lot, I'm growing a beard, so it's a lot for me to work with. So I apologize. Actually, oh my god, yeah, George is right. George is like, I was talking to George finally for the first time in well, we've been talking about, like, seriously on the channel, like him talking about, once again, like, I gotta get lights and such. He does have a point. I do need like a light source because you can't see me well. You cannot see me well. Seems to be autofocusing now. That's great. Anyway, so let's get down to it. Let's stop with the usual stuff. Let's get down to it. Let's go for the... So this week, it's technically the second part of the Brainwave two-part, where last week we got to know more about Brainwave himself and his origins, and how does Henry Jr. fit into this. This week focused more on Henry Jr. and, you know, his... Like, it's a lot of things, to be honest with you. There's a lot to talk about, especially as we approach towards the end, where it was so powerful. It was so, even on a television standard. Honestly, for me, like, I actually felt for the characters. This kind of I kind of make comparisons to this show, to My Hero Academia, in my opinion. And I'm not gonna say this was the raid arc for Stargirl akin to My Hero, but it had elements where we saw the heroes actually, for the first time, go into the villain base to get something back for Courtney, and seeing the stakes of it, seeing like how close we are. Like, this could have been, honestly, like, this felt like a season finale level, where we see our heroes going inside the base and trying to take down the ISA once and for all and stuff like that before everything of the sort. So this kind of felt like a precursor to that. So I know there's one more episode left, then the two-parter finale. So we're almost done with the season, which is crazy for me to think about. But anyway, with that being said, I feel like this episode, for honesty's sakes, I think this comes to rival, for me personally. I think Wildcats so far is the best episode of the season / show so far. This episode, let's talk about it, then I'll announce my rankings when we finish it. So let's get through the Butcher recap, and let's talk about how well done this episode was. So we begin as a flashback, playing the song from Guardians 1, which is like, wait, this is giving me a lot of Guardians 1 flashback, where we see, we're in Blue Valley, at the diner, and I'm remembering, wait, 2 years ago, wasn't that around the time? Oh my god, we're seeing it. So this is when Pat and Courtney's mom met for the first time. I know Barbara, okay, there we go, I remember her name, Pat and Barbara's Courtney's mom. This is when they first met, as, remember, Pat was on the hunt for the remnants of the ISA, picking up where Dr. Midnight left off. And is my tea cold enough to drink? No, it is not. Anyway, and Barbara's also there to finally sell her mother's house that she had in Blue Valley. So, from that being said, however, initially these two, like, oh, how are they going to interact? Like, Pat's not really the one to, like, be the flirty type, so I don't think he would make the first move. And she kind of seems more dead focused on her thing. But then the waitress, of all people, asked them that since they're closing up shop pretty soon, that if they have any final orders, they both conveniently order a banana split, which triggers a conversation between them. And yeah, you can tell these are two people that are like, hey, the other person's cute, they're attractive, and they were kind of hoping like, oh, are they going to continue? Are they going to like keep going? And they did. It was actually a pretty nice moment for both of them because I feel like in their lives up to that point, they both needed a win, and they got the win there, and it kind of started this whole fledgling of romance. And then we cut to present day, where we pick up in the last episode where Barbara's in shock about Courtney and the staff, and of course Courtney's trying to tell her version of events while Pat's trying to be the honest guy and trying to tell her, no, this is what it actually happened, and Barbara's just like in complete shock. And then we cut to later where I think they just finished telling the story about everything that's been going on since the series started. And obviously, to no dar, Barbara's like, what the fuck are you both talking about? How high are both of you right now? Because none of this is true. Your father isn't Starman. He's not a superhero. She's immediately blaming Pat for getting her involved in this shit. Obviously, Pat is trying to be the nice guy here, trying to take most of the blame so Courtney doesn't get any of the blame on her. But Courtney's trying to defend Pat, but it's not working still. So during this argument, Barbara sends Courtney to her room to go to bed, and she tells Pat to get the hell out. It's your typical one-on-one. Like, here's the thing. Like, I wasn't expecting Barbara to have like a decent reaction to this. I'm not surprised she didn't. Kicking your own husband out of the house that he technically owns is a bit too much, but you know what can you do? What can you do? Also, I don't think they clarify whether or not this was the grandma house or not. I don't really know. But anyway, so after that, Courtney is kind of like, so no, we cut back to the hospital where Henry Jr. is with his dad again, who's just woke up. Well, initially the conversation seems to be a little bit weird since like Brainwave isn't entirely 100% there. So, but however, Henry Jr. manages to decipher or figure out that his father has forgotten everything since the day before his mother passed away. And once that kind of clicked into the minds, like, oh, this is my father before that travesty, and then he decides to leave to explore a lead, and then unknowingly a mysterious icy figure shows up as soon as Henry Jr. leaves. But then back to the Whitmore house. Whitmore Dugan house. It's gonna be Whitmore house. Pat's on his way out. He tells his son that everything's gonna be fine. That like he doesn't know what's gonna happen tomorrow, so it's better that he just get a good night's sleep just to be ready for tomorrow. But this is a guy that I can relate to so much. Pat's son. It reminds me when my parents went through their divorce, and I wanted to, like, I love my dad too much. Like, I love my mom too, but I love my dad way too much. And when the moment came, like, my dad had to leave, I honestly begged my dad to, like, I know it was still, like, rough situation. We didn't know where he was gonna go, how the housing arrangement was gonna work, but I honestly did tell him that, no, I want to be with you. I know your life is, like, right now, anything's on the table, like, you still gotta work, but you don't have a place to really call home anymore. Your wife's gonna get divorced you, and, like, everything's in shambles, but I just want to be with him so much. So I completely understand what Pat's son is going through in this moment, and Pat decides to let him come aboard to the garage to sleep the night, which I honestly thought was very sweet. In the middle of the night, the staff wakes up and tries to get Courtney to, like, hey, let's go and do some stuff. But Courtney's like, no, my mom's already, mad enough. It's better let's just stay put and let's not, get involved anymore. But the staff decides to go on its own. He finds the board Pat made for the new JSA about a couple of weeks ago, showcasing what they know, what the members are, and, he decides to, the staff decides to go out and find Icicle, which conveniently, he's at the hospital, kind of catching main Brainwave back up to speed about, New America, like the plan's back in motion, like they got everything they need, they just need him. So they're excited about this, so they're on their way out. The staff attacks Icicle, Brainwave manages to hold it at bay until Icicle manages to get a hold on him and freeze it to immobility. Meanwhile, back with Henry Jr., he's back at his father's study to find another tape, and he finds this tape, day number 3000 and something. And then in that tape, he finds out that when on that day was when Henry Jr.'s mom passed away, that she died in a pool, ice cold. So initially, it felt like, oh, that Icicle killed her too. But also in that tape, that Brainwave also reveals that her brother, Henry Jr.'s mom, was the sister to Starman. So in that brief moment, I was like, wait a minute, that means Courtney and Henry Jr. might be cousins? Which seems to be like the number one takeaway from that revelation. And then we cut to back to the hospital where Henry Jr. is there. He finds Icicle with the staff, and he realizes, oh no, I can't take him on right now. So he hides down. The next day, Courtney wakes up to get her staff, but the staff obviously isn't there. So she goes to confront her mom. Her mom said, I don't know where it is. I'm guessing Pat took it, which is for the best. She also tells her that they're going to leave Blue Valley today, so she's going to go to her house to her office to pack up her things. Courtney needs to pack up her stuff too. They're going to be leaving first thing as in an hour. Courtney obviously doesn't want to leave Blue Valley, so she has to go and figure out what to do. So she heads over to Pat's, who tells her he doesn't have the staff either. So Courtney's now like on a high alert to try and okay, we need to get the staff back. We need to take on the ISA right now since they're leaving in like an hour. And Pat's like, listen, I think it's for the best. I'm going to go find your mom and talk to her. And for you, go pack up, go get ready, because you never know what's going to happen. But Courtney also has another heart-to-heart with her soon-to-be ex-brother, stepbrother, I guess. And he's like very disappointed by the thing, but he kind of just accepts like, yeah, it's over. Have a good life. And he just closes the garage door on him. So I'm like, this boy, he's got some moxie. Then while Courtney's trying to like figure out her next move, she runs into Henry Jr., who transmits the recent events he learned to her. She immediately gets shot, but once she starts processing the information, realizes that Icicle has her staff, and also that they could be related. And Courtney, for the first time, like usually when people figure out like I have this familiar connection to another person that I sort of know, but I don't really know, the first thing is like, I'm shocked, I'm taken aback, and then the first thing she decides to do is like, oh no, I'm gonna hug him. I'm gonna hug him, which I kind of understand since, well, not really understand, but I get, because she just went through this traumatic day, well, not really traumatic, but like this stressful day with her family, that figuring out that she has another family member, well, quotation marks, hugging him was like, oh damn, this is like finally some good news. So Courtney decides to team up with Henry Jr. to go and get the staff back, and also get back Henry's dad, as Henry Jr. is under the belief that the day Icicle killed his mom was the day Brainwave was reverted back to his more eviler self, that when he was with his mom, he was slowly changing into a good guy, but since I guess Icicle noticed that, and he still needed Brainwave, he killed the mom to get Brainwave to stop changing. So the two of them need backup, so they get the other JSA members, who are obviously not happy with Courtney's decision to not only bring this guy in for him to know all their secret identities, as well as we already know where Yolanda stands with Henry Jr. So Courtney once again is not the best favorite with her team, and it is a little bit tenseful as Rick basically wants to kill. Well, if they have the chance, they have to kill Brainwave, and obviously Henry Jr. is not going to allow that to happen. So they kind of nearly come to blow with each other, but eventually it's kind of mutually understand, like, given the circumstances with Courtney maybe about to leave, the staff being AWOL, Icicle being out there, Brainwave being back up and operational, they need to go they need to go in. So they suit up. Pat goes to visit Barbara after she sends a very interesting email to someone, to a random email account, saying that, hey, this involves Courtney, you need to come over and, figure this out. Pat comes in. Initially, these two are like about to potentially have another argument, and then Icicle shows up with his parents again for some weird reason. I don't know why. And during this conversation, it's obviously the parents are saying some very incriminating detail, but in their native language. So it's not entirely figured out by Courtney, by Pat and Barbara. But once they leave, Barbara manages to record whatever they said. So she's going to start translating and figuring out what they mean. So Then we see the JSA heading him to... I'm assuming they went through Cindy's house since that's been unoccupado for like the past couple days or so. Yeah, that's good enough. Oh god, I love tea. Plus I ate a big lunch today, so I need to burn off that fat. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so they infiltrate the lair, trying to figure out this maze-like Blabbert, and then of course Courtney, making a kind of a minor callback to episode 6, says that we got to split up. Like, this place is way too big. We need to cover more ground. We're going to split up. The original groups Courtney picked out was not in Yolanda's best favor since, you know, she doesn't trust Henry Jr. around her, so she decides to tag along with her group. So those three split off, and Rick and Beth go off to do something else. While Rick and Beth are off searching, they find Solomon Grundy, and Rick eventually figures out that, yeah, this is the guy who killed his parents, and he wants to find him and kill him, so Rick starts to try to take apart the door and, you know, trying to get in there to stop him. Meanwhile, Yolanda and Henry Jr. attempt to have a conversation, but Yolanda's like, yeah, there's no forgiveness. Like, whatever you did, you can't take back what you did. You fucked up. And they moved up. They eventually hit the lair of the Dragon King. They find the staff. They find Brainwave being tied to a chair, and Dragon King kind of like getting things ready for the... I'm presuming this is not the New America plan, but this is like just getting him ready for the plan. And then Cindy, being a blabbermouth, was there. She sees the trio and, you know, kind of rats them out. So, and yeah, so after that, Dragon King notices. He orders his men to go attack them. And initially, I'm like, fuck, these guys are not going to be able to take them down. But surprisingly enough, they are managing to be powerful enough to get them down. Even Henry Jr.'s earliest abilities and Stargirl Sand Staff, they were able to take them all down. And Yolanda, noticing that Courtney was having trouble taking down Dragon King without her staff, she goes to free the staff, gives it to Courtney, and while Courtney was like doing a counterattack against him, it finally knocks them out, revealing that, yes, his face is a dragon. Sorry about that. Yeah, my hair's a mess, so I didn't take a shower before. I took a shower this morning, but I usually take a shower beforehand, but since I was so energized by this episode that I need to go in and talk about this episode right away. So after that... Where do we go from here? Yeah, so after that we went back to the diner where it all started for Barbara and Pat, and they're talking about things, like, it's a very, like, simmering conversation, and then the translator app finally decodes whatever the recording was, and it reveals that they were talking about the machine, the plan for New America, but Pat doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Back at the lair, after taking down, like, Dragon King, OP villain, supposedly, get taken down by one blast by the Cosmic Staff. What? Okay, so they got the staff out to take him down. Henry Jr. attempts to free his father, but while he was getting him out, it slowly realized that he's already reverted back to the old Brainwave. To make matters worse, he reveals that it wasn't Icicle who killed his mom, it was him. So he knew, he was self-aware that he was changing for the good, or at least for the innocent, and he didn't like that, so, and she was the main factor for it, so he decided to kill her to prevent him from changing even more. So this is kind of messed up, since that was his wife and he killed her. I honestly thought that was crazy. And then afterwards, so Henry Jr. manages to incapacitate his father, so he and the others go off to leave him, regroup with the others. Rick is close to getting the door open, but Beth decides to hold him back and, you know, get him to stop. Plus, the henchmen show up, so they realize, yeah, it's time to go. They regroup with the others. They head off to try and get out of the caves, and they're stuck at a dead end, but Rick manages to break open the iron bar so they can get through. And then halfway through them getting out, the bars kind of revert back and shut. Brainwave's back up and at it. Stargirl manages to fire at him another blast while they reopen the gate. This time, Rick going through, Henry Jr. as a noble sacrifice, even though Courtney says, you go first. He telekinesis Courtney through the bars as it gets reclosed. Henry Jr. trying his damn best to kind of, you know, get his father to go back to where he was before his mother died, but it's just that this guy is just too... He's been consumed by too much darkness, and, you know, he believes what he believes, and, you know, he doesn't want to go back there. So the two briefly engage in a battle, but, you know, it's clear that Henry Jr. doesn't have control of his powers yet. He doesn't have the full capacity his father does. Even though Henry Jr. has the raw power, it's not controlled enough to kind of really fight his father on. And even while doing a blast with the rocks underneath him, it's still being held back by Brainwave, and Brainwave knocks him back over to the bar to the others, but not to reunite. They're just like he just pushes him to the bars, and it slowly realized like fuck, Brainwave might be able to kill his son, and he says like if you don't want to join me, I have to finish you. Henry Jr. says, no, I'm never going to join you, and Brainwave begins to start to get everything ready for a collapse. But thankfully, during his final thankfully, he tells Yolanda, I'm sorry, and he tells Courtney, like, yeah, you're right, there are good people in the world. And then Brainwave kind of collapsed, like, parts of the overpass over him, and yeah, since he has no power, he just... I'm not crying, I'm just like, my eyes are fucking tired. He dies. And I was like, they did it again. Like, what the hell? Like, this show has no, like, anything is on the table, anything. And we see Yolanda crying, because, like, even though, like, Henry Jr., like, messed up her life, she still loved him at the end. And, God, I felt for that scene and, like, realizing they failed another person. Well, Courtney failed another person, and the team failed to save someone right in front of them, and it probably is going to start to haunt them for, like, hopefully for times to come, and that's when the episode ends. Also, another thing I have to mention is that Icicle returns back to the office when Barbara and Pat leave, and there's an email from Barbara saying that this is from the guy that she's messaging, presumably to be her real father. So the guy's alive, he's out there, and yeah, that ends the episode. Kind of to think of it, even though this moment, like, this barely is very close to the Wildcat episode, I still think the Wildcat episode is still the best episode of the season. That doesn't mean that this episode was not that great in comparison. It's just that this episode really had a lot of heart. Like, it really gave some twists and turns. Like, are they gonna, like, is this gonna be like a redemption story for Brainwave? Is Henry Jr. gonna go join the team? And then having them, like, you know, flip the script and just like, no, this is your typical Flair, but they still gave that twist that you think it's going to be a hopeful victory for the team, but no, it wasn't. I mean, at least Courtney got her staff back. I guess Pat and Barbara are still going to, like, try things out. I mean, we still got 3 episodes left, so I don't think they're going to be an immediate separation anytime soon. And but they lost Henry Jr., which honestly I felt that despite him having kind of a rocky journey, I thought he had potential. But it does showcase, like, that these villains, they have no morals. They have no real, like, there's no limits on them, because, think about it, Icicle was responsible for a 16-year-old, the son of one of his own members is deaf, and Brainwave killed his own son. They have no moral. They have no care about these other kids, these other heroes. Like, they have no sympathy. They have no real, like, they don't really care. Like, they need to finish their mission, and they're gonna do whatever they can to finish it. And it's crazy, and it's gonna be, like, really suspenseful as now we approach the final 3 episodes. How is this gonna end? I really don't know. Like, I don't know. But anyway, I really love the emotional value of this episode. I really love what they did with the characters. I'm gonna miss Henry Jr. How will his death impact the team going forward? I'm very curious to see next week. But yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to see where things go from here with the team, as well as we approach the final 3. And yeah, is Courtney's father, like, will that finally get answered? It kind of reminds me of when Cartman's father had a whole episode about himself in the early days of South Park. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to turn out. But that'll be next week. But overall, in this episode, I give it 2 thumbs up. I really did enjoy it. It's like my second favorite episode behind Wildcat. Will the last 3 make any change? We'll see what happens. And I think that's going to do it for me. So if you were unaware, this was What's in the Tube from Action X. If you want to know what we're doing overall on What's in the Tube besides our DC Stargirl episode reviews, we do Doom Patrol Season 2 episode reviews each and every Saturday after a brand new episode on Thursday on HBO Max and DC Universe, both streaming services, as well as Perry Mason episode reviews each and every Monday after a brand new episode on Sundays on HBO, which recently, somehow, for a miniseries, got renewed for season 2, so we're going to see more of that in the future. But if you only care about Stargirl, don't worry, we'll be back next week with the next episode review. We're nearing the end, we got 3 more episodes left, so once August begins, we have the last 2 episodes. So this is like a brief sketch of plan. We will still have 5 more weeks of Stargirl content to enjoy, well, at least for me. Overall, in terms of like the show, like you only have 3 more. So for that, Stargirl's going to take us through the whole summer. In terms for what's on the tube on the Friday slot. So next 3 weeks will be more episode reviews. After season 1 is over, then the week after that we're going to do the season 1 review. We're going to talk about we're going to see what the whole season was about. What was my overall opinion about it? I will be doing a spoiler free in the beginning, spoilers at the end for people who are just not who are still curious. Like, is this worth the time and investment? Which it really is at this current juncture, and as well as the week after that to kind of wrap up the summer of Stargirl. Then it will be the season 2 predictions. As remember, we have been confirmed for a second season. We will be back in 2021, I believe, at some point, depending on the pandemic and everything. And then that will be it for Stargirl. So yeah, there you go. There's your overall rough schedule for the next 5 weeks. But we'll see you guys next week. So again, however, let me know in the comments below. What did you think of this episode? Did you love the episode? Did you like it? What did you think of Henry Jr.'s ultimate sacrifice? Who do you think the father is? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always open to conversation. And that's it. So again, this was What's on the Tube from Action X. If you want to see more of What's on the Tube from Action X, specifically our DC Stargirl episode reviews, please subscribe to Action X on YouTube.com. Ring the bell for notifications when the next episode review is live. Like, favorite, share if you want to, but it does really help us out in the long run. Follow us on social media to be up to date on videos and such. And I'll see you Stargazers next week.